Who's got it better than us?
Nobody.
Who's got it better than us?
Hey Nowner fans, I'm bonnie-jil Laflin.
And I'm Melissa Jacobs.
And you're watching 4 Downs. Now, I know everyone's so jacked up, including my co-host Melissa, about the Packers games. And if that shows anyone what this team's all about, if we don't have any injuries, agree with me, Melissa, I know you will, that this team should win it all. I mean, we look solid on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I hate saying it in week 2, but there's not a team in the league that is as stacked as we are with almost no weaknesses.
Exactly. And so it's pretty scary because you don't want to look too far in the future, but I think a lot of Niner fans will agree with us.
Yeah. Have you been looking at New Orleans flights yet?
I know. We were talking about that in media day, but we can't get ahead of ourselves yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But our first down is the preview for this upcoming matchup, which is against the Lions, Sunday Night Football.
Yes.
Huge audience, and I'm pretty ecstatic about it. I think the big key is being able to stop Stafford and Johnson, Megatron. That's the biggest thing right now. You know, we just got to make sure there's no long passes to Johnson, and we don't want to double team Johnson because our secondary would have problems with the other skill players for the Lions, which is Pedigree, and there's so many other guys on that. Titus Young, you know, Pettigrew, and Titus Young, and Nate Burleson. So we got to make sure that we our defense is all over.
Yeah, and Pettigrew, I was looking back at some of the stats from last year, and it wasn't that his were so spectacular, but Patrick Willis was on him pretty much the whole game and got beat a lot. So that's, one small concern is that they really focus on Pettigrew and passes to him this game.
Exactly. And I think kind of the formula for the Niners, I think you'll agree with me, is basically we always get good field position from our special teams.
Always.
And then we have such a strong defense, and then with our offense, we have a great running game, and then Alex Smith knows how to spread the ball. We've got so many targets out there, so that's basically our formula, and we seem to always do well with that.
Yeah, and I think Smith, he put up 211 yards passing last week, which seemed like a lot more, but that's just, a product of being conservative. And I think this is a week that, Detroit has a very, very, very weak secondary.
Very weak secondary.
Very weak.
And we need to capitalize on that.
Yeah, I don't want to go like all Jay Cutler here, but they
another thing, too, is we know now from the 63-yard attempt that Akers made that he can kick from anywhere. So that's pretty nice to have that in our back pocket. And the fact that the Lions, we've won, 8 straight games against the Lions?
Yeah, we won 8 straight games, and I believe 13 of the last 14.
Yes. So you look at stats and you look at the way we're playing, I think that we should come out with the W.
Yes. Now, moving on to this guy here, let me just explain that Aaron Rodgers gave him the Heisman. This guy, Alex Smith, can get no respect. So I am wearing your jersey.
And me and Melissa always go back and forth about the draft and about Aaron Rodgers, local kid from Cal, which Melissa went to Cal, so it's always funny to me that she's not a fan of Aaron Rodgers, and big, big fan of Alex Smith.
Yeah,
so
it's not that I'm not a fan of Rodgers. Yeah, it's not that I'm not a fan of Rodgers. Of course, admire the talent and all that. Although I do think he's not playing that well to start the season. But, I just think that we've reached the point that Alex Smith deserves a little respect, a little bit beyond game manager status. And I think you still disagree with that?
I just am still an Aaron Rodgers fan. You know that. I love Smith, and he's developing, and he's just gotten so much better. And now I've got this confidence in him, but I still was a little bit, how I was last year about him. Could he get the receiver the ball? And he's an accurate passer, but he doesn't have a very good arm. And Aaron Rodgers is so, he just can do it all.
Yeah. Obviously Alex isn't even bordering on elite status now, but what can he do in this game and the rest of the season to kind of get you really confident? And
I think every game. Look at last week. He had no interceptions. So he's just getting better and better. And I just think he needed a coach like Harbaugh. That's the biggest key, is changing the coach. And Harbaugh is a quarterback himself, and so I think he's really helped Smith, if you would agree with that.
Yeah, and Smith, what's the streak? It's 185 consecutive passes, which is actually a franchise record. So in a lot, you can make the argument that he's better than Steve Young and Joe Montana too, in one respect.
Yeah, All right, let's not go too far. But that was our first down.
Who's got it better than us?
Ahmad Brooks, thank you so much for joining us on 4 Downs. First of all, let's start with last week. What did it feel like taking Aaron Rodgers down?
It felt good. It was a good feeling, to get my first sack of the season. And then, for me to get it at a critical point of time in the ball game, it definitely felt good. I think it solidified, that series. It solidified the game. And, they only had one more snap to get a first down and, keep the chains moving. So I was definitely excited, and, we went down with the victory.
How do you react to all the pundits out there that are suddenly touting you as Super Bowl favorites?
The who?
The pundits, the analysts, the writers.
Oh, well, I really don't pay them. I don't pay them any mind at all. They're just, those are the same guys that, talk bad about you when you're doing bad. And they're the same people that talk good about you when you're doing good. So I really don't pay any mind to the media.
Yeah, well, moving forward, you have your game against the Lions. I'm sure you're aware on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Pretty big game. How do you prepare differently for Matt Stafford than you do for Aaron Rodgers?
I think I prepare the same. The mindset has to be the same, obviously, but they're two different types of quarterbacks. So, Aaron Rodgers might do a few things better than Matt Stafford, but Matt Stafford might also do a few things better than Aaron Rodgers. So, last year, Matt Stafford, he threw for like 5,000 passing yards.
Yeah.
And, he also has Megatron on the side of the ball. Yeah. So, he's definitely a beast. And, I just think that we need to keep applying pressure, with our pass rush and just, keep a heavy coverage on their wide receivers. And I think we'll be good on Sunday.
Yeah, does Stafford do anything mechanically that poses more of a challenge for you guys than any other quarterback?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know. Not necessarily.
Okay. Well, you specifically, Ahmad, I know you came into the league in 2006, and, I know you had some injuries and whatnot, but, last year was the first year that you started all 16 games. What is it about Vic Fangio's defense that has, turned you into, a legitimate starter in this league?
I always felt like I was a legitimate starter, from the time I first came into the NFL. Sometimes things don't go the way you plan for it to go. And then, with the NFL being a business also, money also has a lot to do with it too. So, sometimes you can be better than the guy in front of you, but if the guy's getting paid a little bit more than you, then they're going to play them just for the simple fact that they're paying him more than you or whatever. So I had to go through that. I understood the business my first year. My second year I was starting, but I got injured the second game of the season, so I wasn't able to play that season. But
is there anything about his system in particular, though, that you think you're a better fit for than you were for other systems?
Just being in the 3-4 system and being an outside linebacker gives me a lot more freedom to just go out there and play football, and not have to make adjustments for the whole defense. I don't have to focus on everybody else. I can just focus on myself and what I have to do.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the money you were just talking about, you were signed to a 6-year extension back in February. So, congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How satisfying was that for you?
It was a relief off my shoulders. Just really, that was just everything that I worked for. You know what I mean? That was a good contract, and that's what us, athletes, us professional athletes work for. We work for a good. First of all, making a team, becoming a starter, making plays on the field, and just getting the respect from your teammates and from your organization, and then also getting respect from other players around the league. So I think that was just pretty much a gift to me, and in terms of how hard I've been working, how long I worked, and it all paid off.
Well, in closing, Ahmad, I have one last question for you that's kind of serious. I'm not sure if you've heard it before. Who's got it better than you?
Nobody. I'm pretty sure a lot of people has it better than me, but, nobody has it better than us 49ers at all.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Good luck against Detroit.
Thank you.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Now, our third down is news around the league, things that me and Melissa want to talk about, kind of get off our chest, so to speak. And I think a big topic would be RG3 and what an amazing, fantastic display he had in week 1. Granted, the secondary didn't look too great, the Saints, but he still looked pretty explosive.
Yeah, and that's getting lost in the mix, the Saints secondary. And I think a lot of us, I'm eating my words. Are you eating your words?
Yes, I am as well, because I'm a big Andrew Luck fan, so I wasn't, a big RG3 fan, but you can't say anything but great things about how he looked. He just was amazing, and no picks, and a rookie. He looked so calm, cool, collective in the pocket, and I was impressed.
Yeah, I was impressed too, and I think that they're playing the Rams this week, so I think he's going to put up big numbers again. So I think it's going to be, I'm still going to reserve final judgment until he plays real secondary, but he definitely was the biggest surprise of last week, in my opinion.
Exactly. Another person that we want to talk about, someone that I'm a big fan of, is Peyton Manning. And I was so happy to see how well he did. A lot of people thought, since he's been out a year, how is he going to do? And he was Peyton Manning, the real Peyton Manning.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, his numbers, he had 253 yards versus RG3's 320, but the point is that he was just so accurate. He was so poised in the pocket. All the things that we knew about Peyton. And the scary thing is that he still says he's not 100%. So.
Exactly. And he looks so solid. I mean, the matchup is going to be a little, difficult going against the Falcons. And so I think it's going to be a big shootout with him and Matt Ryan. I think it's going to actually be a real high-scoring game.
Yeah, now if somebody would actually give one of these two guys an endorsement deal, that'd be, a good place to start.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about something that a lot of people on Twitter and everywhere have been talking about is the refs, the replacement refs. And you actually have some inside information on that, right?
Yeah. So I went to an event in D.C. where I'm based, where Roger Goodell spoke about brain injuries. And he was asked by ESPN's Trey Wingo, first of all, how they did. And he said they did a very credible job. Just making sure you were keeping a straight face.
Okay.
And
I'll let you take this one because, okay, go on.
and secondly, and one of the things I think us and a lot of people want to know is, is there any movement between the league and the refs? Like, when are these regular guys coming back? Because
I want to know that because right now they're saying Goodell had mentioned that at least 5 weeks. Correct?
Yeah, that the replacements are signed up for at least 5 weeks. There's no movement at all. Apparently, they're not talking to each other. However, Goodell did say that he reached out to them a couple weeks ago, just via phone, and that he's going to continue to try. So if we believe him, then maybe we will see meetings again. Maybe we will see some movement and, get these regular guys in the field.
Good. Okay, well, good to know. Okay, that was our third down.
Who's got it better than us?
All right, so our last down is something that me and Melissa are both pretty passionate about, and that's fantasy football. I'm a host on a radio show for fantasy football, and Melissa is a fantasy expert analyst. And this is kind of fun because obviously a lot of you Niner fans probably have Niner players on your team. Me and Melissa have the 49ers defense. Is that correct? You do?
Yes.
We're going to go through a couple of players, 4 players that we think either you should start them or sit them. We're going to start with Alex Smith, then Frank Gore, Vernon Davis, and then Michael Crabtree. So let's start with Alex Smith.
Okay, Alex Smith had one of the best games, really, of his career last week. He had 2 touchdowns. However, he only had 211 yards. And, the Niners are always going to be conservative. Or they're not always going to be conservative, but until we see more of the deep ball, I'm just not that comfortable starting Alex. So I would sit him. And
I'm shocked that you said that.
I know, and I'm sorry I'm
Alex
hearing this.
Smith in your jersey.
I'm waiting for those deep balls to Randy Moss, but until that happens, you really should sit him. And then, as far as Frank Gore goes, he had over 100 yards in the game against the Lions last week. He looked great. He had 116 yards and a touchdown. I think he had 7 yards per carry average, something like that last week. And I mean, I think he's going to have a great game again. I mean, I don't see, they held Steven Jackson down to only 2.5 yards per carry, But, you know, our offensive line is a completely different situation. So, Frank Gore, you should start him.
Okay, now Michael Crabtree last week, 7 catches, 76 yards, had a season high in catches last year against the Lions. So I know I'm going to kind of throw people off here, but I am going to go with sitting him and starting Randy Moss. I think Randy Moss is becoming the Randy Moss that we all know, and he just looks amazing to me. So I think, you know, a lot of people thought more of him as in the flex position or a sleeper, but Melissa, you got to tell me what you think. I think Randy Moss looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going with Crabtree just for the targets, but, you know, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I just think he's going to get some long passes thrown his way. So with the weak secondary, I think we should start Randy Moss. But me and Melissa, we disagree on this.
Yeah, we do.
And then Vernon Davis scored in 3 straight dating back to the playoffs. Lions held the Rams back. So I'm thinking with Vernon, when you think of tight ends and going against the Lions, I think he's going to have a pretty productive day. So I'm going to say start Vernon as well. I think they won't be able to stop a big body like him. And I think you start Vernon if you have him on your team.
Yeah, and one more bonus piece of advice. If you happen to have Lions running back Kevin Smith, 100% you should sit him.
Yes.
I think the reasons are obvious.
Obviously. And then Megatron, I know he sat out of practice Wednesday or Thursday, I believe, and he's back, but with a foot injury. So obviously he'll come up big unless that Madden curse gets him. But that's something that people should be aware of, that he does have a foot injury. And that's it for Fantasy News. All right, Niner fans, that's it from us. I'm bonnie-jil Laflin.
And I'm Melissa Jacobs.
And you're watching 4 Downs. Go Niners, beat the Lions. And hey, who's got it better than us?
Nobody.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody!
Who got it better? Nobody. To the field from the tailgate party. SFC, yeah, we still G's, but we crushing and hitting every damn thing. If it ain't real, it ain't right. If you can't take a hit, take a hike. The legendary Super Bowl champ said right. A classic connection, Montana to Rice. Field motor section, mission to Diamond Heights. Bayview District, Sunday and Monday nights. Let's ball. If the Niners on yours, that's the right call. I got one question. Tell them, Harbaugh.